The views and opinions expressed on this show belong solely to the hosts and their guests and do not reflect the views of any on-site institutions unless explicitly stated.
What's up, everybody? My name is Steve Vanderwall.
And I'm Justin Klosser.
And we're your hosts of Cannabis Cum Laude, a podcast devoted entirely to cannabis. We're going to talk cultivation, business, medicine, politics, culture, advocacy, and everything in between.
The cannabis industry is complicated. It's robust. It has a lot of moving parts. And it's our job to help you understand it just a little bit better. So tune in every week for a brand new episode. And if you have a question that you'd like answered on the show, send it on over to questions@cannabiscumlaude.com. Thanks. Enjoy the show.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Cannabis Cum Laude, Part 2. Part 1, we got to kind of dive into a little bit about my company and my entrepreneurial journey. Started in cannabis, where I started, where I'm at, and where I'm going. In this episode, we're going to kind of tie into a little bit of a more, or talk a little bit more about general entrepreneurial principles and things to start preparing for as you look to embark on, participating in this industry, whether it's from a license holding perspective, whatever it is. Some things that I've experienced in my now 4.5 years of being in the cannabis industry, and some things that you should start right off the bat, some things that expect, and, some basic knowledge on how to just help you be more successful as an entrepreneur. And this is coming from someone who's done it and been through the ringer. And if I can ever help anybody, navigate just one pitfall a little easier, it'll help me sleep better at night. So thanks for giving me the microphone today. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. And stick around too. At the end, we are going to be diving into a little bit of what's kind of been going on in the Cannabis Cum Laude world and what's going to be coming up in Rochester and also the Cannabis Cum Laude world. Steve, thanks again for coming on to another episode to talk about your expertise and kind of give away some of the gold, if you will.
Yeah.
These are hard lessons that a lot of entrepreneurs have to go through, and trying to help some people overcome them or avoid them, rather, is a really admirable thing to do, especially when there's you even see it right with this whole college tuition and them trying to get rid of the get rid of college tuition and pay off student debt and stuff like that. And some of the older generation, well, I had to pay it. They should have to pay it too. You know what I mean? And I get the sentiment and that same kind of thing of coming in and getting hazed. I got hazed, so I'm going to haze them too. I know. And
tradition.
Right. And so, okay, but it's really, as human beings, if we want to be the best people we can, we should try to help each other and help each other avoid the mistakes we've already made. Of course. So thank you for doing that today. What I really, really want to kind of dive right into, what is the very, very, very first thing you should do if you're even thinking about getting into the cannabis industry? This is something you've told me a few times offline.
Yeah. Let's assume that you have an idea or a business plan of something. Not, if you have no idea but you're interested, talk to somebody like you or I, where you can say, "This is what I know. This is what I love. Let's see if we can put you in the right direction. Maybe it's approaching this license, or maybe we can help you find a job in what's supposed to generate 60,000 jobs in this state." So if it's pre-business plan, talk to somebody like Justin or I. We can help you get in the right direction. I have phone calls a few times a week with people saying, "Hey, I'm in the insurance industry. I'm trying to get in. Hey, I like to grow. Hey, my family has been making edibles in our kitchen for 20 years. We'd like to start a little business. What do we do?" Talk to somebody like us from the ground up, and get an idea of where you want to go. If you are past that stage and you've done that and you have you have a business plan and you have an idea, the first thing that you need to do is talk to an attorney. Okay. You have to find an attorney, and not just anybody, not any attorney, a cannabis attorney, because there's a lot of really good attorneys out there, great attorneys. All sorts of attorneys
that don't know anything about cannabis.
Cannabis is complex from an accounting perspective, from a legal perspective, a compliance perspective, a supply chain perspective. It is a completely different world. And especially if you're an old school attorney, I don't care if you're the best freaking attorney or any attorney in the world. If you don't know anything about cannabis, you're really no use. Not saying that guys like this or gals like this couldn't figure it out. Find an attorney or group of attorneys that knows cannabis, specifically in the state, because every other state In my opinion, there are people who tend to contract with legal firms outside of the state, which is fine. Those people have more experience. But in my experience, attorneys in New York State not only know the New York law, but they also have connections in specific places that make things easier to get done, or may have better access or be more privy to information that can help you if you're filling out a license or doing any of that shit. So first, if you're in the idea stage, figure out what are you interested in. Talk to somebody like us. Talk to somebody who's done it. And once you have the idea and you really understand your mission, be prepared to spend money on legal. It's a business, okay? Nothing comes for free. Everybody wants to start a business and wants to do shit for free. And there's a lot of people, that'll do a little bit here and there. If you got friends who are an attorney, be prepared to spend money. And if you don't got it, put together a business plan and go out and find the money, because it's out there, and tons of people are dying to get in this industry that have big, deep fucking pockets that don't know anything about cannabis, that are waiting for an opportunity to land in their lap that they can fund. And I know that because I've done it and I'm doing it right now. That's the reality. And people come to me all the time, where should I put my money? Should I put it in the stock market? Absolutely not. Do not put it in cannabis stocks. Very volatile, very scary.
Certainly not cannabis stocks.
Do not do that. There'll be a time and place. I know we like to shit on the MSOs, but the Canadian cannabis stock market is it's not. I would not advise that.
It's not a financially stable place.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in there because I invested with my heart, right?
Yeah.
And I've steadily just watched it. I'm not losing my ass by any means, but a couple bucks a day.
You're not going to get rich investing in Canadian
every now
cannabis.
and then it bumps back up, but then it goes right back on its trend down.
It's volatile. It's
my hope is that once we go federally legal, keep pushing Chuck Schumer, that we will see a spike in that, right? I'm hoping that I could just break even again and then cut it loose. Yeah. That's it.
There will be an opportunity where it will play. Yeah. Definitely. I don't think the time is now, and maybe I'm a little bit biased as a small business owner who has, looked for capital and raised capital for multiple businesses. Invest in small businesses. Yeah. Don't invest in junk. Don't invest in a buddy who's got an idea, blah, blah, blah. It needs to be, let me see the business plan. Let me see the financials, the pro forma. Who's on your team? Very important. Yeah. I don't care if you got the best business plan and you're projected to make $15 million a year and you got all the infrastructure in place. If you don't got a team, not interested.
Yeah.
Find your tribe. Fix your idea, niche yourself, okay? Yep. Don't, all these people, I want to grow, I want to make products, I want to distribute, and I want to do retail, and I want to do this. Well, guess what? You know who's doing that? The multi-state operators. You want to know who's bleeding out? The multi-state operators, because it's very fucking expensive to do everything. Niche, right? You want to make edibles, okay? Don't make 50 different kinds of edibles. Master the peanut butter ball. Master the gummy square. Master your specific cultivar flower.
Yeah, pick like 10.
Yeah, if you're a contractor, you build grow rooms, right? Figure out a niche and nail it, okay?
Yep.
But because from somebody that started that said, I want to have 5 products right off the bat. First of all, I couldn't even afford 5. I could barely afford 3. So then let's say you got all your inventory and all that stuff. Then you got to market it. Focus on one really, really, really good thing. Yeah. Nail it, make your money, and then scale. Because if it works once for one product, you can replicate.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's. I feel like honestly, I'm listening to your song because I feel like we've talked about that a lot of different times when talking about the stem box and how easy it would be to like it works. You can just replicate it, and that's a very that craft model, right? That's really something you've always preached since I've known you, and I kind of get behind. That's a lot of the reason why we're doing the show together, because like I really support that drive for quality, that drive for to have the best product, right? And even if maybe somebody else's product is outperforming it, like that quality is still there. You know what I mean? And there's the resiliency that you were saying before, where like you get punched in the face, but you just keep on moving. Love that. As far as lawyers go, is there like a list of cannabis lawyers that people could look up in New York State? And before you answer that, I also want to mention before my brain lets me trail off. We were actually having a meeting with a mutual associate a week ago who was talking about he chose the route of getting an in-state cannabis lawyer, but then also consulting with an out-of-state cannabis lawyer, somebody who was more experienced, so that they could kind of like a system of checks and balances where they can moderate each other. Where like, yeah, this person's more versed in the New York state law. This person really knows cannabis a little bit better. Get the best of both worlds. If you can afford it, that is a really, really wonderful route. And I just want to put the idea in your head in case you didn't have it. Is there like a list of cannabis lawyers somewhere though that could be found, or
Probably in some blog somewhere, there's probably like a top cannabis attorney. You know, a simple Google search will get you there. I know that like companies like or firms like Vicente Sederberg are one of the big cannabis firms in the country. They've had tremendous success. They're huge. They have offices, I think, in a couple states, and they have a huge product offering. But don't get me wrong, there's firms here that you've never heard of right in Rochester who are ready for cannabis, who know and who have connections in places that we could only imagine. And so do a Google search, figure out cannabis attorneys New York, and something will pop up. I don't have a list off my hand, but there's some good people here. You know, Jason Klimek, great tax attorney, the best, arguably. You know, there's some people out there who really know the space. And a quick Google search or a LinkedIn search will find you somebody very quickly.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving on from the law a little bit, since a lot of us and our listeners don't really love talking about the law or dealing with the law. I'm just kidding. I do back the blue. I want to put that out there. Like, I do think that there is a place for that. I just have not lived the most proper life and thus have had poor experiences. Anyways.
Yeah, and I'll be saying this from somebody who has I have some good friends who are police officers, and guess what? They're just as interested in weed as we are. I literally was at a wedding a couple weeks ago with my buddy who is a big time in RPD, and we always talk about cannabis. I've always talked about cannabis with my cop friends because it was a safe place, and they know I'm the cannabis guy. Right? They know, and it's like when you behind these closed doors where no uniform, no badge. Cops, they're us.
They're humans.
They're human people.
So
and guess
weird.
what? Cops, like veterans, would benefit from cannabis immensely. And there's people.
So New York does have PTSD on the medical. Because I saw a post about that on LinkedIn, and I think maybe a lot of other states aren't doing this, but New York does have PTSD on a list of approved conditions for the medical program. So as we are with the MRTA, I believe there was some big changes to the medical program that we're trying to help with things. I don't want to misspeak, but I'm going to say it anyways. Maybe like, I feel like I remember us talking about something to do with insurances there that might have been coming into play, which I'm sure will be a thing with PTSD and the vets. If we could get the VA to accept it, that would be awesome. But that's like a federal organization, right? That's like another one of those funding things where we just have to wait for the federal legalization to happen to have the full support for vets.
Well, it shouldn't matter. If it's legal, well, you can go home as a vet and drink, or as a cop and suck down a bunch of beer or whiskey and wake up and go to work tomorrow fine. Why can't you go home and puff a joint?
You can. So when you say vet, do you mean active military or do you mean a veteran?
Veterans, yes. I guess I was leaning more towards active military and current police officers.
So the state of thinking there with the active military, I just because I can speak to it, obviously, I actually did get in trouble for drinking when granted we were deployed, and part of it is it's a dry country, but regardless, I did get in trouble for drinking because it was a combat zone, right? Even though it was my 21st birthday, it was only 2 drinks. It was like a quick celebratory thing. Still ended up getting in trouble for it because you're expected to be ready for duty 100% of the time. So that's the train of thought there with active not being able to be, but that's also still a federal thing.
Okay,
you know
but if you're in a combat zone, I totally get that. But if you're home on leave for a couple weeks, what the hell's the difference? Or you're home training and you're off. You got off for the weekend. My buddy's one of my best friends was in the Marines, and he used to say when we were stationed at Fort Benning? Where's the Marine boot camp or the big Marine base in North Carolina? I don't know.
It's Benning or Bragg, I think.
Yeah. Well, they used to drive like an hour all weekend when they had off and get fucked up and party and blah, blah, blah. So if you're off duty at a Friday at 4 and you drive up an hour away and party, you can't smoke weed and come back and be fine on Sunday or Monday for work. So totally. Just like if you're a CDL driver, don't get high behind the wheel. If you're a surgeon, don't get high before you go operating on my brain or my heart.
Right.
And if you're in combat zone, don't get high or whatever, there's certain situations, but outside of those, those specific situations, everybody should be able to use it. I don't advocate for cops to get in the car in the morning and get high or get drunk. But if you want to go home after a long shift and puff up or have a beer, you should be able to do that. By all means,
yeah. No, yeah. I 100% agree with that. And I do think that the police should be allowed to as well. I just saw an article today saying that lawmakers are allowed to. So if they're allowed to, then the police should be allowed to. If that's not a thing, then that sucks.
Yeah. They want to, too. I'll tell you right now.
Is that a thing? Are they still getting drug tested? Oh, yeah, because they gave it employers power in the murder. Yeah. I was reading that.
Cops cannot touch it right now. Yep, my two buddies who are RPD officers are like, we would use it right now if we could. We would use it right now. And a lot of other people, most other cops would. They're like, we're counting down the days till federal legalization.
What about medical? Still can't. Can cops become medical? Because medical has protections with the murder. Probably.
It's so hairy at that is something that like I don't even know. I don't know. I don't know.
That's an interesting thought because that would open a lot of doors for those officers that were, and quite honestly, for some of them who maybe do have a little bit more of an aggressive side, it might chill them out a little bit, right?
Yeah. So
it will. Cool.
Yeah, it will. It definitely will. It's not a secret that like if probably there would be a lot less shitty stuff that happens on this planet if everybody was smoking a little bit of weed.
Everybody. And I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't say everybody. If you have CHS, please don't be smoking weed. Yeah. But other than that, you probably can benefit from a little bit of pot.
You just got to find what works for you.
Find the right dose. So back to business. Sorry, we got way sidetracked there. What are some of the other issues? Or like, okay, so I'm thinking of your cease and desist letter. How do you recommend somebody avoid that? Is there a way to like look? I think you said that your lawyer told you it might be an issue. So did they like know that company existed and thought it would be an issue with that specific company? Or yeah, that's a bummer.
Yep. And
when your lawyer tells you something, listen to him, people.
It was a friend who we weren't even, I listen to my lawyers that I pay.
Yeah.
It was kind of a friend offering some off the cuff advice, and I didn't take it, and I should have. But honestly,
hindsight's 2020, bro.
And quite frankly, as much as it sucked, I can't. My brand, in my opinion, like the website the brand is sexier now. It looks better, and it's like Tiva CBD could only really sell. It wouldn't make sense to sell THC products on TivaCBD.com.
Right.
Nestiva is a more encompassing product platform where we can now introduce it's not just CBD. So in my opinion, it worked out well. It's a brand that I am in the final days of getting my trademark approved for that actual brand, a registered trademark. And quite frankly, as much as I kind of wish it didn't happen, I'm glad it did because something really good came out of it. So
definitely,
you know what I'm saying?
Definitely. I guess my thoughts were like maybe Nestiva could have happened earlier, but maybe not.
It wasn't in the brain. It wasn't.
Oh, you're right, because you were at CBD at the time. You weren't even thinking other botanicals or anything.
So that much makes sense. Shit from the time I started I DBA'd the company in December of 2017, and that issue with the trademark came about in November of 2020. Many, many years have passed, and it only really happened because I filed a handful of federal trademarks, and a lot of these companies who have big bucks pay other people to go through and make sure there's no
competitions.
And within, not too long after the trademarks were filed, they came. So it is what it is.
That's another good lesson to take away from that, though, is growth, right? Just know that as a human and as a business, and this is something I've kind of been in class, I've kind of been forced into a business-focused class, which has kind of been for the better, really. I'm one of those people who kind of believe everything happens for a reason or whatever, but they expect things to change, right? You're going to grow, you're going to change, your vision's going to change, and you can't plan for that change. So you have to be able to take that in stride and adapt, right? And that's all. And maybe that's going to be a forced change because of some kind of trademark, or maybe it's going to be a change that simply comes about because you feel different, or you want to incorporate other plant medicinals into your product. Like that, it could just be a complete reroute.
It could have easily went the wrong way, and I could have said, I've got a ton of money in this. I don't want to do it again. I'm interested in something else. Fuck it, I'm done.
Yeah.
But it's not an option. I would live under a bridge for 2 freaking years and eat garbage before I ever quit, knowing that like if the worst comes to worst and I gotta live in a freaking shelter, because I'm okay. I'm a survivalist at my core. There's not a lot of things at this point that really faze me.
Right.
I always have people I could lean on if I need to. So you just go. You say, okay, that sucks. Move on. Not going to sit around and dwell and cry. And I remember telling Rachel about it, and she was like, "Wow, that is bad, really bad." And everybody I told was that was really bad. And my attorney, I'll tell you, I laughed. He said, "Huh, that sucks. That really sucks." And I mulled it over. I was a little upset for a couple of days, and then I said, "Okay, I'm going to find a new brand. I'll BRB.
Do what I got to do." Yeah. See you soon.
We figured it out. We made, the brand is really not that different than the original brand. It's just a word, and
a relabeling. It looked beautiful.
That's it. That's the reality. You learn to pivot, and even as there's no obstacle that can't get overcome. And even when I'll tell you that right now, between getting my merchant services shut off, which shut off all my ability to make, like my ability to live life was completely cut down, was shut off. I've had Venmo shut off, which is still completely shut off, and not even sure I'll ever get it turned back on again, because I was selling CBD products at Gold's Gym to my friends, and I was doing a pop-up fair, and I was selling CBD, and somebody literally in the comments when they paid me said CBD oil or Tiva CBD oil, and within 12 hours they shut me off. And we probably know people who make tons of money in these digital platforms selling other things.
I've literally seen people send money with the tag weed.
It's exactly, dude. Literally. I'm like, I have homies that are doing 12, 15 large a month on Venmo, and I get dinged for selling CBD oil one time at a small business fair.
Banking is a wild world in the cannabis industry. I'm hoping that it's going to start getting a little bit better here. It does look like federal legalization's coming soon. I'm not optimistic that it's going to be right away. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm typically try to be an optimistic person, but we see Chuck Schumer, to no surprise, is pushing things up. I mean, that's expected almost. But we're also seeing, and I'm blanking on his name, but it was super conservative senator that was speaking out. That was like
Clarence Thomas from the Supreme Court. What's one of the
Supreme Court judge. That's what it was. Sorry. Yeah. What are we doing keeping it illegal, right? Like
it's just it's bureaucracy. Everybody for the most part probably agrees, Democrats, Republicans, we should fix this. They have their own narratives. Oh, can't be social justice or it can't be big business focus, whatever. Everybody fucking knows that cannabis should be legal in some capacity. What that looks like on a state by state basis, I don't know. But is something as simple as like, I mean, it's not simple, but like descheduling cannabis from a Schedule 1 to not being scheduled at all, okay, would be, if that's the only thing that we did, and that's the only thing that we did, interstate commerce,
open the world
up. It would open the world. All these things would go away for the most part. I'm not there's part of me that's like, I am a capitalist. I do believe in capitalism very much. Capitalism with restraints, obviously, because, too much of anything can be bad. That's, kind of a theme of a lot of the conversations that we have on this show. But if you open up federal legalization and interstate commerce, right, all of a sudden these little businesses can start selling to Vermont, to New Hampshire. And that's how you get real scale.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
But the problem was, and that's bigger business for people. The problem is that there's people like, Constellation Brands, as Canopy Growth, and all these companies have huge infrastructure.
Like we've always said, though, their quality is crap, right? I mean, maybe crap is a strong word, and I don't want to piss on these companies. Like, I'm sure I haven't tried all of your products. You know what I mean? Maybe there's some out there that are phenomenal. Like, definitely. I don't want to do that entirely. But as we've always said, when you get too big, when you scale too big, there is an inherent need to reduce quality, right? Because SOPs become put into place so that every Joe Schmo can follow it, because it's supposed to be consistent across the board. And when that happens, you can't do these craft techniques, because it takes somebody who knows when the twist needs to stop You know what I mean? Like, not that it's hard to figure out after a few tries, but like, you could easily be just ripping branches off, when you're popping branches, or when you're topping, you take the node instead of where you're not supposed to, right? So like,
totally,
you just lose quality at scale. That's my whole thing.
And
so
let's
like,
pretend that you have the best growers in the world. You have craft SOPs, right? You're growing. Imagine it's hard enough to stay up on top of a 6-plant grow. I can't imagine what it would be like to stay on top of and go around and do plant training and clean the canopy of acres of hundreds of thousands of square feet of canopy.
It's insane.
Imagine trimming it.
Imagine paying the people to do that.
That's the problem, is that there's a ceiling on this, right? It sounds infinitely scalable. Here's a system that grows 100,000 plants. Here's, blah, blah. Here's distribution. That sounds great. But every square foot of cannabis that you grow has a utility cost. Somebody you have to pay to trim it. Somebody you have to pay to plant all this stuff.
More important, pests, insects, because that could wipe out your whole grow in one shot.
That's why I see some of these big pictures on Instagram of, and I'm not a commercial cultivator. I wouldn't even call myself a cultivator. I'm a junior cultivator, right? But what makes sense to me is microclimates, and you want to have a big room with smaller sections, right? Rather than having one 10,000 square foot grow room, maybe have, 5 2,000 square foot grow rooms that are climate controlled and whatever. Because guess what? As much as I do, if something goes wrong in a 10,000 square feet, you get PM, you get mites, you get some shit happens, your electricity goes out.
Well, there's other benefits to having multiple rooms too, of cycling and
Anyway,
totally. Those are entirely topics for another day. We are getting almost past our time here. And there's a few things that I would like to plug for CCL. So if we could go in, if there's anything else that you want to dying to get out as far as what people should look for business, I definitely want to hear it. But if not,
thank you first of all for letting me tell my story. I appreciate that. If you're interested in learning about the brand, nesttv.com, check it out. Feel free to email me, contact@nesttv.com. But more importantly, if you are interested in this business, it's amazing business. You can make more money than you can ever make in any other space, working with the best plant in the world, living a lifestyle you could have never ever imagined.
That you want to live.
And it never feels like work. And, I may not, call us. We will help you. Email us. Hey, I'm interested in this. We'll take a Zoom call with you and FaceTime and get where you're at. If it's obviously something that goes over the long term, we can work something out, some compensation. But if you're just looking for a little bit of guidance, call us. Email us, logistics@cannabiscumlaude.com. Reach out to either of us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We'll help you. We'll talk. Even if you only get 5 to 10 minutes, of our time, we will help you as much as we can.
Definitely. And so moving into some of the Cannabis Cum Laude updates and happenings and stuff that we have going on, I'm actually going to wait to seed a couple of these things. But I do want to remind everybody that we have the Bud Belay giveaway going on. And so that is a really cool plant training technique. All you have to do is go over to Instagram, find the post, like that, tag 3 friends in it, and then follow the page. Too easy. And you'll be entered in for that giveaway. I also wanted to make mention of our Patreon. We have apparently, I've been dropping the ball and I have not been putting this link in the show notes like I thought I was.
Whoops.
So I just want to make mention that is going to be down there in the show notes. We do have a Patreon for those of you who do want to contribute. It is... You can't search it because we're cannabis, and so you have to type the link directly in or click the link. So it's www.patreon.com/cannabis cum laude. Too easy, but the link will also be in the show notes. And one final thing is we've also started a new segment that we're kind of starting local here in Rochester, but it is intended for the overall cannabis community that we're calling A Closer Look at Community. And in there, we just kind of open up the platform to discussion with members of the community and what they have to offer fellow cannabis consumers. Yeah, I was trying to come up with a cool word there. It just didn't work. So if there's anything that you have that you want to offer, please hit us up. Any of those same contacts that Steve just mentioned, and we'll see what we can do about getting you on the show.
Oh, yeah. I would like to plug something too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our good friends, Rob, Rob and Jackie over at #Hydro. And I'm not just saying this because they're our friends or because they are awesome. They are legitimately the best hydroponic store in this side of fucking New York. They are intelligent. They have an incredible product line. They know their stuff. They're helpful, and is a family-run business. It is my go-to. It is your go-to, and they are hosting the Rock City Cannabis Carnival, which we are a gold sponsor for. It's going to be awesome. They already have, and I'm just going to pull up the. So Rock City Cannabis Carnival, they're on Instagram as cannabis_carnival_rock. They already have over 55 plus vendors, a live DJ. It's going to be Sunday, September 5th from 2 to 7 p.m. Honestly, this is going to be a heater, probably to date the biggest cannabis. I mean, I've never heard of a cannabis carnival. It's going to be awesome. They've been planning the hell out of this. I saw Jackie and Rob today, and they are hustling. We're going to be there. We're going to be going live. We're going to be pushing. Reach out to us if you're interested in VIP tickets, or if you're a product maker, if you're a little bit of a grower, if you got a brand, reach out. We can get you signed up probably. It's going to be an awesome time. September 5th, 2 to 7 p.m. Location TBD. We will announce it closer to the event, but it's going to be a banger.
If you want to know a little bit more about that and a little bit more about Rob and Jackie, we did actually just do an episode on A Closer Look segment with them. When this comes out, it'll have been a couple weeks ago, but go ahead and check that out. And you'll get a really deep dive. You get to it's another video segment, so you'll be able to see them face to face if you've never been in the store. And one thing that he said in that show that I really think spoke true to his shop is it's like a barber shop in there. People just go and hang out. Yeah. Every time I go, I get stuck for almost 3 hours. Yeah. And that's not even an exaggeration.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
It's funny. It's funny that you say that, because every time that I try to put as much shit as I can in my calendar, and sometimes I'm in and out, store, bank. But for when I go to Hydro, I'm always blocking off 2 hours to go to the Hydro store.
Have to.
I got my list. I got to get my newts. I got to get a light or something, which should be an in and out trip. Not 2 hours. We're smoking. We're ball busted. It really is the barbershop of cannabis shops. They're doing a great job. They're expanding into a much bigger facility right across the street. Check them out. They are the best.
Yeah, definitely. 100% the best. Can't wait to be at the Rock City Cannabis Carnival. Outside of that, I would say keep your eyes and ears peeled for the Growers Invitational and elevate your state of mind, my friends.
Yeah, everybody, we'll catch you next week. Thanks again. Thanks to our friends here at Rockbox Recording and Production in Rochester, New York. They are a full professional podcast and video studio designed by a radio guy for podcasters. Audio, video, voiceovers, editing, whatever. Mouth off at Rockbox at rockbox.com.
You can follow Cannabis Cum Laude on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Cannabis. Type Cannabis Cum Laude into your search bar and you should be able to find us, but the links will also be posted in the episode notes as well. If you want to help support the show, head on over to Patreon, and that will ensure that we're able to keep the best quality sound and video coming to you on a regular basis. And if you liked what you heard today, please don't forget to rate and review the show.